So the mental body really moves at speed, and when the mental body is well, then it will be light, diffuse, and almost like a pale lemon colour. But as thinking becomes more fixed, then it becomes denser, and thought forms sometimes begin to form. So when I was going through the notes the other day, I sort of read back and said, is this accurate? Is this accurate? And Mum said, yeah, I saw a thought form once. And then somebody came into the room and I got distracted, and it was only later I thought, well, I never asked her what she meant by that. So the next week I said, well, you said to me you saw a thought form once. And she said, yeah, I did. So let me tell you that story because it's really extraordinary. So bear in mind that she is clairvoyant. She was working as a clairvoyant, as an astrologer, and also she often will see spirits. And she said a lady came in to see her once, and a man came in with her too, right next to her. And she could see this man's face clear as day. And she'd thought, oh, her husband's coming with her. It's obviously her late husband. And she said, so I did some questions and ascertained, well, is it your husband? Is it your dad? Whatever. And she'd said it became very clear that it was her husband. And she started doing the reading. And then the woman said, oh, no, he's not dead. And it transpired that the husband had left her for another woman, and she was properly obsessed with thinking about him all of the time. How was she going to get him back? How was she going to get him back? How was she going to get back? Till he had actually formed absolutely as if he was the face of a spirit in her aura. And she says, I've never seen it before and I've never seen it again, but that was the formation of a thought form. She had generated it in her aura. But ordinarily what you would see is that the colour becomes thicker and muddier. And obviously when we get into the dowsing, we'll talk more about the specifics of what those look like. And that is a really extreme case. But what you would be looking at, if you could see, is you've got this like canary lemon colour of yellow, and so that's the thoughts. But sometimes you might be really thinking hard about something. You might be working very hard to revise something, or you're trying to remember something. You might remember something that's angry, for example, and those things shoot colours through the yellow. And like I say, I can normally see emotional and mental bodies changing, and it's quite interesting to be able to see what kind of thoughts those people have. So by that I don't mean like, oh, I'm thinking, oh, they're having rude thoughts or whatever. I suspect you could probably say that. But if somebody works in, for example, what I perceive to be extremely boring work, accountancy, or they have like very like structured, mundane thoughts. I mean, that's very judgmental on my part. But those will seem to be kind of grayer colours, you know. Or if somebody's very passionate about it, they're very excited in their research and they're really engaged, you'll see oranges and reds. And you'll see more about that as we go into the colours. But what we're looking at there is this changing. What you'll also see is memories.